Okay, hello again, hello once again. We have a new topic for this time. So, by the way, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Ano mang oras nyo pinapanood to? Applicable yung mga greetings ko. Ano? So, anyway, let's continue our discussion still on forces. So, we have discussed before how to solve for the resultant of a system of forces. Now, this time we're going to do the opposite. So, kung sinabi nating resultant, we are going to add or convert yung system of forces, 2, 3 or more forces into a single force. Now, this time, our topic is finding the components of a force. That means, yung isang force gagawin nating dalawa. That's the opposite of what we have been doing before. So yung isang force, we're going to convert that into two components along a specified axis. No? So same method, we're going to use the parallelogram method to solve for the components of a force along specified axis. So let's first define some terms in here. Components would be, I think it's in your manuals or your modules. Components are two separate forces equal to a single force. That means if the force is acting to a certain particle or a body, the effect of those two forces, yung effect nun ay parehas lang dun sa effect ng isang force, no? So, yun. Next would be resolution. Resolution is the process of replacing a force, replacing a force with its components. Hello, sir. Okay, may konting interruption. So, resolution is the process of replacing a force with its components. That means, yung isang force, gagawin nating two forces, yung effect nun, just like what I've said kanina, pupulit, parehas lang dun sa effect ng iisang force. Sometimes, it is simpler to resolve a force, no? It would make the analysis of structures simpler if sometimes, no? If we convert isang force into two components, no? So this time we're going to use the parallelogram method. An easier method will be discussed later on using the rectangular components method. Also, although the principle would be the same, dun sa pag in-apply na natin yung rectangular components. For the meantime, yung rectangular components kasi is applicable for the horizontal and vertical axis. What if the axes are rotated? No? So it is more convenient to use parallelogram method if the axes are rotated. If you want to solve for the components along rotated axis, then it would be more convenient to use the parallelogram method. Okay, so let's try to solve the first problem in your module using the parallelogram method. Okay. Resolve the 800 kilonewton force into two components, one along the y-axis and the other along the x prime axis. So we have two axes here. We're going to convert the 800 kilonewton force into two components along y, the vertical axis, and along x prime axis, which is rotated about at 20 degrees from the horizontal axis x. So how do we convert this force into two components using parallelogram method? Now the process would have to be the same. So from the two axes, we draw parallel lines again. Dun sa head, so parang ito yung resultant niya. Nagawin natin, i-convert natin yan, ipaghiwalayin natin, gagawin natin dalawang components. So from the head of the resultant or the single force, we draw parallel lines relative to the two axes, specified axis here. So let's try to draw parallel line relative to x prime axis. So, drawing tayo parallel. Siguro. Then we are going to form a parallelogram. So, parallel line relative to x prime axis that would intersect yung ating y axis. And then, we also draw a parallel line relative to y axis. No. So, from the head of the 800 kilonewton force. So, drawing tayo ng parallel line. Okay, so meron na tayong na-form na parallelogram. So again, okay, since these two lines, itong line na to ay parallel siya dito. Okay, so ibig sabihin, yung component ng itong component ng 800 kilonewton force, i-convert natin, paghihiwalayin natin yan along x prime and y axis, axis. So ito na yung ating component along y axis, and this is our component along the x prime axis. Okay, let's say this is f. Let's designate this as f, or the resultant of the two components. This is fx prime, this is fy prime. Fy prime is the component along y. Sorry, fy lang dapat pala. Sorry. Fy is the component along y, and fx prime is the component along the x prime axis. Now, to solve for the components, since fx prime ito ay parallel siya dito, parallel lang yan, this means this is also fx prime. And fy, parallel siya dito. Direction niya is upwards. Parallel lang siya, same length, same direction, which means this is also fy. So we have the same magnitude, same direction. Okay, so that we can analyze either of the two triangles. Kapag dinawig natin, dinivide natin yan into two triangles along the diagonal. These are two similar triangles, the same actually, so that we can solve fy and fx prime using any of the two triangles there. So ang given natin dito ay, kung mapapansin natin by inspection, meron tayong given na isang force or isang side ng triangle. Ito, given siya. And given yung angle dito. Okay? So ang given lang natin is isang side ng triangle at isang interior angle. So how do we solve for the components if that is the case? No? Sinasolve natin yung side na to, which is fy. We also solve for this, which is fx prime. So how do we solve that? Kung ang given lang natin ay isang side tapos isang interior angle. So para ma-solve natin yung triangle, we need at least tatlong given, no? Dalawang side, isang angle. Pwede rin tatlong sides ang given, pwede rin isang side pero two angles, no? So in this case, ang given lang natin ay isang side, isang interior angles. So that means we need to solve, since we are solving for the two sides here, that means we're going to solve first for another angle sa triangle. Para ma-solve natin, magamitan natin ng any trigonometric function or any trigonometric law to solve for the unknown components. Okay, so how do we solve for the other angles? So since these are two similar triangles, and this is a parallelogram, so pag na-extend tayo, this is 45 degrees, this is also 45 degrees, and this angle, itong angle na yan is also equal to this angle. Yan. So this angle is also equal to this angle. Okay, so which is masolve natin ngayon yung angle na ito. let's say angle, anong designation yan sa module natin? I think that is angle alpha. Let's say angle alpha. If this is angle alpha, this is also angle. This is also angle alpha. So this is also angle alpha. Angle alpha, this angle is also equal to this angle, which is 4590 plus 20, that is 110 degrees. So we can solve for angle alpha, an interior angle in the triangle. So you solve that. The total interior angle of a parallelogram is 360 degrees. That should be equal to 45 degrees plus 45 plus 20. This is 110 degrees times 2 yan, because itong angle na yan the same din siya dito, plus twice of angle alpha. So angle alpha plus angle alpha, twice of angle alpha. So alpha is equal to 70 degrees. Okay, so angle alpha is equal to 70 degrees. Now, we have solved for angle alpha. Ano pa ang kulang? Maybe we can already solve for the other interior angle inside the triangle. Since we know angle alpha already, let me erase that. I think we can also solve for this angle. This angle, let's say angle, we have this alpha, angle beta. Okay, this is angle alpha, which is 70 degrees, angle beta, the unknown, and this is 45 degrees plus 20 degrees. Okay, that's 65 degrees yan. So we can solve for the angle beta, okay, knowing that the total interior angle of a triangle is 180. Review natin yung solid mensuration. That is 180 degrees. Yung isang triangle lang, since we can isolate either of the two triangles, parehas lang yan. Ito na lang yung baba. Isolate natin or i-analyze natin. So, total interior angle ng triangle is 180 degrees. That is equivalent to 45 degrees plus 20 plus alpha, which is 70 degrees, plus beta. So the angle beta is equal to 45 degrees. Angle beta is 45 degrees. Now, meron tayong isang side tapos tatlong interior angles, no? Given one side and three interior angles, we can solve for the components along Fy and along Y and along X prime axis. Okay, so let's first solve for simultaneous na lang, or sige, isa-isa na lang para mas maintindihan natin. We can solve for Fy muna. Fy siguro. Okay, so using yung given natin, isang side na to is 800. Using sine law. Using sine law, you have 800 over the sine of the opposite angle. The opposite angle is angle alpha, that is 70 degrees. That is equal to, since we are solving for Fy over sine of the opposite angle. The opposite angle of side Fy is 65 degrees. Now 45 plus 20. So Fy is equal to, using sine law, Fy is 771.578 kilonewtons. Okay, so that would be the answer for Fy. Now using same then, using sine law, we can solve for the component along Fx prime, Fx prime I should say. So that is equal to So 800 over sine of the opposite angle, that is 70 degrees, is equal to fx prime over sine of the opposite angle. Ano yung opposite angle ng fx prime? That is angle beta, which is 45 degrees. So fx prime is equal to 601.990 kilonewtons. Okay. So that's it. That's how we solve or resolve the components of a force to a specified axis. No, yung pag-solve ng components, opposite ng ginagawa natin before, yung pag-solve ng resultant or pag-add ng vectors. So sa pag-add ng vectors or pag-solve ng resultant, we are converting yung system of forces into a singular force, isang force lang. Yung pag-solve ng components or resolution, pag nag-resolve tayo ng force, yung isang force gawin nating dalawang force acting on specified axis. Okay? So that is problem number 1. So another video would be uploaded for the solution of problem number 2. So stay put.